Is live now.
All
And
right.
let me just have
Okay.
a little bit of fun with StreamYard.
Okay.
Here we go. This is always my fun intro. And there we are, Robert.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Well, good evening, Coach Les. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, you're so welcome. We've been trying to do this now for close to, I don't know, at least a year. And you're someone who absolutely fascinates me and my team. And I don't say that a lot because it takes a lot to impress me. However, as I've been able to spend time and listen to your Ziegler Legacy Rooms, some of the different platforms that you're on, it's just absolutely magical the way you're able to break through and listen to what people have to say, but at the same time, let them choose their own direction. Does that sound accurate?
It is. It's one of the fun things that I do. And I think one of the easiest ways for me to share with you a little bit about what it is that I do is, my commitment is to transform the world through communication by helping other people realize their untapped potential for improvement. I've led training and development programs for over 2 decades. And during this time, I've coached thousands of people. I have expertise and experience in designing and implementing entertaining and educational curriculums for troubleshooting and calming the waters of situations.
You bet.
And I'm skilled at helping people create positive results in their professional, personal lives.
Okay.
And, to give you a little background, I'm a Ziegler Personal Legacy certified coach and speaker. And I'm also a DISC personality behavioral certified trainer. And I love what I do. I've now been coaching for next month will be 20 years. So
wow, 20 years. Wow, that says a lot, and I think that the people that listen to us on a regular basis, I don't think they realize the background that it takes to be able to do the things that you do, the things that I do. Some people think that we just jump out of a magic box and we have all these answers. Well, a lot of times, everything we're doing, we've gone through trainings, we've gone through people that are better than us. Coaches have mentors, right? Mentors have mentors. And I tell that to my team all the time. And that's what I love about you, because you are somebody who not only talks the talk, but you walk the walk, Coach. And that's why I wanted to introduce you to my viewers. And, I think we started in pretty much the same place. At the beginning of COVID, we got a phone call one day, right? And the phone call said, hey, for 3 weeks, guys, for 3 weeks, we're all going to stay home for America. Well, 3 years later, where are we, right? And it's been a very, very difficult ride for some people. And that's why myself, and just to kind of throw a few things, my name is Robert Paisola, and I am the CEO and president of Western Capital International. We're a financial firm, but we also have a lot of philanthropic endeavors that we participate in. What we are is we're the people that assist you when things go bad. If you're in a business, you have a company, things are not going the way you want, and you really don't want to contact corporate counsel, we're the ones that handle it. When things go down and go difficult, we're the ones that get involved, and we carry the heavy, heavy, heavy sword. And so that's what we do. However, one thing that I've told my people and I've learned is that I always give people a way out. So many of you, if you type in my name, Robert, Robert, Paisola, it's on the screen. You can see it. And then if you type in the word SoundCloud, we go to bat against very large corporations that try to manipulate Americans. Now, let me give you an example, Coach. During this time of depression, people are trying to raise people's rent by $1,000 of a single mom with 3 kids. Is that moral? Is that right?
No.
You know,
But it's
do you see what
taking
I'm saying?
advantage. Yeah, it's taking advantage of a situation that's not a good situation to begin with.
So we fight, and we fight vigorously, and we listen to people, and we meet people in places all over the country. As you know, I started with the Trump organization, and that's what I did whenever, how I learned this for 17 years. Stood on a stage in front of thousands of people talking about success, real estate, entrepreneurship. And then all of a sudden, everybody was shut down. So what I tell people is we all are starting at the exact same place. Now, what we do with that, right, is completely up to us. We can sit back and put our feet up and, as you say, Coach, eat bonbons and let the world go by, or we can stop and focus on what really, really, really matters. Now, one thing I know about you, Coach, is that you have a heart, and you're a humanitarian to the extreme degree. And you believe in Heavenly Father, and you believe in that nothing is by chance. And I agree with you there. And there's so many times I can't even, I probably not even less than 100, that I can tell you the number of times that we've been in rooms and we've heard some stories from people that are in the room that have just been a travesty. But after 30 to 40 minutes of talking to you, automatically they blossom. Why don't you explain how you catch that, and how you provide your feedback to let them guide themselves towards the resolution? Because I know you don't tell people what to do. And that's the interesting part about what you do. They kind of figure they figure out their own issues. Let's talk about that if we can, Coach.
Well, one of the things, Robert, is that when people actually look and see what's at the source of the issue that they're dealing with, and we set aside the emotion, we set aside the what ifs, all of the past or the future, and we look at what's going on right now in the present. The thing that I do that's very different as a coach is I look at this wheel, and I call it my integrity wheel of life. And this wheel is made up of spokes. And as you can imagine, a pedal bike wheel with spokes doesn't have a motion. The spokes are either tight or loose or broken, and they have a degree of workability. Inside of that workability, the integrity of the wheel means that it goes true, right? If you had brakes on either side, it would either rub or not rub. And the goal is you want it to run true so that it doesn't go rub, 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 rub. Or if you hit a pothole and you bend the rim a little and it goes thunk, 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 because one of the spokes broke, you replace that spoke. And you look at that spoke, and that spoke could be a conversation that you didn't have with your boss, a conversation you didn't have with your significant other. It could be that you are out of integrity with your faith. So whatever that is, faith, family, or business, in one of those three areas, we look and see where it's not working and what it is that's not working. And we take a look and we pull the emotion off of it. All of if there's hurt, if there's frustration, anger, all of it, we take that and remove that as if it were paint or, something that is put onto the spoke. And we remove it and we look at the spoke, and we either repair it, replace it, tighten it, or loosen it. And I use
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Coach.
Yep.
To me, my friend, that sounds hard. I mean, I'm just being real with you. If you're asking me to go down to the bare bones and talk about my spokes, I think it'd probably be easier to avoid this conversation and maybe live in a fantasy world and maybe believe that I know what I'm doing, right? And not want to talk about the hard. Because it seems to me what you're saying is it takes hard work. This is not an easy thing.
Well, now hold on a second. Hold on a second, Robert, because once again, you used an emotional word, hard. Hard, easy. Those both come with emotional weight. It's not about being hard. What it is the idea and the purpose of this coaching is for you to get the results that you've not been able to get on your own. You can expect that I'm going to ask really tough questions to gain clarity around what it is that's stopping you. And with your permission, even on Clubhouse, I ask people, may I give you some coaching? And people are like, Les, you don't have to ask me anymore. It's like, no, I always ask, because that amygdala, that piece of brain in the back that is fight, flight, and survival, rears its ugly head, right? And it just wants to clamp down on me as a coach. And the goal
one thing I'll tell you is that I learned this from you, that sometimes what we talk about are difficult things. They're difficult. There's no way around it. However, if we're asking permission to listen to somebody's issues, right? To be able to listen to what they're feeling and ride with them along their journey, and they give us permission, then I think it opens them up so that they feel that they're in a safe space.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of coaches believe, that they have the recipe for coaching. You know, they're the most extravagant real estate coaches in the world. They're the most extravagant entrepreneur coaching entities in the world. However, did they ever stop and ask, is it okay if we work together towards whatever it is they want? Interesting, isn't it?
And I think that's I look at it with their permission. I then take them through the appropriate processes, right, to eliminate those blocks and barriers that are keeping people stuck. And the more that we work together, the more I will know about the comfort zones and the limiting patterns of belief that show up. And it's going to be my job to make you aware of these comfort zones, and my job to challenge, to encourage, and support you on expanding those comfort zones. And when we talk about spokes on a wheel, we remove the emotion. And I say, look, can you see how this spoke isn't working as well as you want it to work? Now we're talking about the spoke that represents the issue, as opposed to talking about the issue. Makes it a lot easier to talk about that spoke. That's one of the things. And, what I find is people actually start enjoying the process of growth. Because if we start to remove some of that significance, open up, and we start to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then something is more interesting than that. And something's wrong. And I'm not about right or wrong, good or bad, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Right. It literally is, does this work or not?
Does this work or not? It's not, is it right?
Nope.
Is it wrong?
Nope.
Notice what Coach said. Is it working, right? Does this work? There's a big difference. And I think that once people grasp that concept, right, that it's only, does this work? That then we're both tagged into the exact same wavelength. Now, as well as I do, Coach, we've dealt with we've coached people from A to Z. I mean, in business, in life coaching, people who are trying to get out of the 9 to 5. That's been a big thing that I've been working with before. And then I've dealt with people that are making millions and millions of dollars who are miserable. And you know what's interesting? In some of these rooms that I go into, it's all about getting the money. And then when they get the money, they're on my phone and they say, wow, I worked so hard, but I lost my family. I lost everything, but I have the money, Rob. And it's not what I thought.
Yep.
So there's a polarity that has to exist between the coach and the mentor. Now, one thing we do, you're myself included, is we spend a lot of time talking to people that have no idea of our backgrounds and what we do. They don't know your background for years and years of success in business and in coaching and mentoring and being certified by one of the top motivational companies in the world. Myself coming from Trump and being able to do things absolutely direct and clear to the point, but with love. Okay, that's what I'll say. So if we have to, put it down into a sentence, I guess that would be what I try to do. Because most of the times I'm left with some of the difficult things that have to be handled. And to our friends on Clubhouse right now that are listening, I challenge you to listen to this conversation tonight. For I promise you, you have not heard anything like this on this platform in the past year that can take your life to the next level as this can. You have two people that are highly, highly paid, highly intellectual, and willing to assist you. But notice I didn't say we're willing to take your money and do it for you, did I? I said assist you. There's a difference. There's a difference in that, Coach.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that I don't do as a coach, right? So let's take a look at what I don't do. I don't diagnose, treat, or fix. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a therapist. I don't solve your problems for you. I don't do your work for you. I don't judge you or belittle you. I don't give you legal. And I know Robert could give you financial advice, but I don't. I don't listen to your stories, excuses, or complaints and support you in staying stuck. I'm not going to lie to you.
Say that again. Say that again. That's powerful, brother. That's powerful. I don't listen to your stories. Tell me about
stories. Yeah. I don't listen to your stories, your excuses, or complaints, or support you in staying stuck. I mean, yes, I may hear your story. I may listen to one of your excuses. I may listen to the complaint. I'm not going to listen to it as if it's the truth. I'm going to listen to it as this is a place where you're not working. I'm not going to lie to you and only tell you what you want to hear. I am not going to sugarcoat it. What I do as a coach is I'm going to provide a process for helping you create a vision and a mission for what you want for your business and your personal life, including perhaps your faith life.
Yeah.
Now some people say, well, Les, I don't want to be a Christian. I'm like, it's not about whether you want to be a Christian, whether you want to be Muslim or Hindu or whatever it is. It's about your faith. What is your faith? Whatever it is, are you connected to it authentically, with integrity? And are you practicing the faith that you say is your faith? I'm going to help you build strategies and actions that are going to allow you to live the vision and mission you say what you want. Who, what, why, where, when, and how. Those are the things, Simon Sinek talks a lot about. Start with why. The Bible talked about why. I mean, why has been around in different versions for millennia, thousands of years. Simon Sinek just took it mainstream, put it on YouTube, right, put it on TEDx, and is making a fortune off of it because it's so simple. It works. I'm going to help you eliminate roadblocks that are holding you back. Like we're going to take them apart like a broken spoke. We're either going to replace the spoke, tighten it, loosen it, and have the wheel run true. I'm going to build pace, build a tempo, and build momentum to create the results you want. Do you know, and I know you know this, Robert, but as I'm speaking out to the audiences,
right?
Entrepreneurs, 80 to 90% of them do not charge enough money for their services.
True. Yeah.
And then they wonder why they can't survive. And then we wonder why 95% of businesses fail.
So what do you do? Because you're talking again about an area that is not easy to talk about, Coach.
I know.
I mean, you're talking about something where people would just much rather, it's okay. I have something to tell you, but I don't know how much it's worth. So here, we'll just get on a Zoom with me and we'll talk for 4 or 5 hours and see if I can help you. Meanwhile, you have no food in the fridge. That's a real problem. And I've seen that happen to people who are trying to break through to this industry, right? I mean, and like I said, it took a year to get you on this platform. We have over 1 million visitors, over 1 million people that are watching this all over the world in 47 different countries, and it's all transcribed. Did that all happen overnight? Absolutely not. But Coach Les won the prize to be able to be introduced to all these people. But I'll tell you one thing they're going to ask. Why is it that my life is so hard? Why is it that I have such high utility bills? Why is it that whoa is me? Your answer, sir.
I think part of it is, as the human condition, it's much easier to look outside of us and blame. And it's really difficult to remember that when we point with our finger outside of us, there are 3 fingers pointing back at us. You look at how many people are not responsible about time. And, you know, I laughed. I had a friend that's known me for over 2 years. And we met outside of, we didn't meet on Clubhouse or social media. We met at a networking event. Live networking event. And we just bonded and became friends, became acquaintances, then friends. And she knows that I'm a business coach. And we've spoken about time. We've spoken about calendars. We've spoken about time blocking, lots of the different tips, techniques, and tricks that are out there. So she comes on to this social platform called Clubhouse, and this guy gets on stage and he says, I can teach you how to time block. I can teach you how to bend time. And he professed this whole thing about bending time, Robert. Bending time. What do you mean bend time? He got the whole audience. And from what I heard, at least like 50 to 100 people out of this 400 or 500 person room signed up for his $10,000 3-month course on how to bend time.
Okay.
At the end,
as a professional in the business, that makes no sense. All that means is that you're paddling in the water looking for something, right? And the first thing that shows up, what in the heck is bending time? What is that? I guess it sounds good, doesn't it? Right? It sounds good.
Well, of course, because it's the answer to everybody's. They all want an 8th day. They all want 20. They all want 30 hours in a day. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. There is no such thing as bending time. I don't know about you, but I can't walk on water unless it's frozen in Minnesota. I can't fly unless I have some kind of hang glider that I'm inside of, or a balloon or a plane.
Right.
And so to bend time, it's at this point, at least by science that I know, it's currently not possible unless you're a black hole.
Right.
Or a gravitational force. Now, that being said, when somebody says that, I look and go, what are they telling you? What are they meaning by that? And so to boil down 3 months of coaching, a bunch of videos, a bunch of meetings with other people for this $10,000, in essence, what this coach was selling was integrity around time blocking and managing every second of your day. Now, he did it in 10-minute and 15-minute increments and had you keep track. And the degree to which you keep track is the degree to which you had success with time blocking. And you became all of a sudden responsible, which, said another way, if I were to define responsibility is the willingness to be cause in the matter of one's life. And ultimately, it's a context from which one chooses to live. So if we're going to be responsible about time, that means that when we sit at the kitchen table after dinner and we pull out our phones and spend an hour on social media just gawking at it like it's TV, That's an hour.
Boy,
That's 60 minutes.
that's something that is just it. Talk about destroying the family unit, Coach. You know, when you dump your kid in front of a TV or something, and then say, you know, hey, I'm a great parent. But this is a great segue, Coach. As we're talking, as you're aware, we're sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, and I'm just going to play this real quick for our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Stand by, my friends. This is Robert Paisola. I am broadcasting worldwide right now with Coach Les, the integrity coach out of Minneapolis. And Coach Les is absolutely a phenomenon. When we come back from this break, we will have something to show you. And I'll show you right now what it is that I got from Coach Les in the mail. You too may be able to. Stand by, my friends. We'll be right back.
You're now listening to the world famous Change Your Mind, Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, Change Your Life podcast. Broadcasting worldwide with your host, Robert Paisola. Ladies and gentlemen, give way for Robert Paisola. Broadcasting on 107.1 on the Man Cave Podcasting Network and beaming worldwide on the Spectavision Satellite Radio Network, live from Las Vegas. Today's episode is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, featuring sleek luxury and pure elegance. Visit your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today and take advantage of exceptional deals for 2022. Bringing you the top news and guests from around the globe on finance, credit, life, or just how to fix that dent in your pocketbook from COVID-19. It's Robert Paisola.
And with that, we are back with Coach Les. It's a late night broadcast. But guess what, my friends? The reason we're doing it late night tonight is because Coach Les has been booked for days. It took me forever to be able to just find a time where I could sit down with the masters and understand what makes him continue to tick. And you know, Coach, that's my next thing. As I told our viewers earlier, I got a box in the mail 6 months ago. And you know, I tell this story on stage. It came from a great friend. As a matter of fact, it came from you. And one of the things that I got, now, this is for people who want to move outside of their daily life and have something to help them as they coach other people, right? Number one is from Coach Les. We talk about listening. As a coach, you have to listen. And I'm talking about active listening, right? To our friends on YouTube, there it is, listening. Being present. And we're going to talk about these things real quick. You can listen and you can be present in the situation, but you can also artificially be there. Speaking. How many of you, prior to COVID, would have a fear of public speaking, of being able to go on a platform knowing that there's going to be almost 1 million people listening to what you say, and do it with confidence and do it with emphasis in your voice, knowing that you passionately care? Maybe that is part of the spokes of what Coach is talking about. Coach, thank you for this. All I want to say is the other one is being in another person's world. Look at that right here, guys. Being in another person's world. So you know what that means? There it is right there. Yeah. That means that we're not selfish. We're putting down and dressing ourselves down and opening ourselves up to whatever it is that we need to gather from the person we're talking to. And just listen. Be empathetic. Don't be judgmental. And you know, I think that these past years have been difficult. These past few years have been difficult for all of us. But if you just take these, and I think they're on his website. I think they're only like, I don't know, they're $10 or something. They're awesome. But you know what? Whenever you're in a situation, you just look at it and you go, oh, body language. Okay. Am I listening? And you know what? It will bring you to a place where you always have this clue wheel, that I call it, a clue wheel, so that I challenge myself on that, right? And I think that's what your intention was. So Coach Les sent me some books and sent me this and all kind of stuff. But anytime you work with a coach, guys, you're gonna get some information. You're gonna get a box. Now let me show you one of these. We teach people how to sell from stage. Okay. So we teach people all over the world how to go out and become master speakers. So what do? We don't just sit and show them on a platform how to do it. We actually provide them with the materials and all the collateral that they need. And when they come to Las Vegas and come to our seminars, guess what? We load them up with more information. This is how serious we take what we do. This is how serious it is. Because we know that we're teaching future generations. We know that people are listening to what we have to say. We know that we're going to be challenged on every single word that is being broadcast everywhere. So we have to be accountable. Now, Coach, a couple things I wrote down. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, the five keys to communication. Now, why do I say communication? Because communication is what we do. That's what all of our listeners on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, YouTube, SoundGuard, all of these platforms are asking right now. How can you guys come online in the middle of the night and communicate at this level? There's 5 keys. Let's go through them, shall we?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna level up the game because
okay,
this was the old 5 steps.
Okay.
There are now 7.
I don't understand how we're going to develop this.
I don't know either because I think
maybe we'll have to do maybe 2 of them underneath or something. Maybe right, body language and something. Maybe I
think what's going to end up happening is it's going to end up becoming an octagon, as opposed to a square. And here's what happened when I started on Clubhouse, which is the social media app, which a lot of people think is Apple only, but it is open to Android and Apple.
That's right.
I met a blind lady. And as you can imagine, on an audio app, it doesn't matter whether they can see or not. And when she learned of my 5 steps, she asked me this question. She said, well, what about looking and seeing? And I went, well, what do you mean? She says, well, you have listening/hearing. What about looking and seeing? And I said, good point. And then at the end, she said, and what about mindset and manifestation? And I went, oh, I said, I talk about all those things. And she said, I know you do. I've heard them, but those are different categories. So all of a sudden, it became communications, integrity, 7 steps. So now I have listening and hearing, and we talk a little bit.
So we're going to start. We're going to start with number 1, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So for those of you that are here, if you're not taking notes, I do not understand why, unless you know the 7 steps to successful communication. You're being given a gift for somebody that's $500 an hour, $500 an hour. That's what we do. So please, guys, take the time to write these things down. These are going to help you in your career, in your personal life, in your business, in your communication with your friends. Write it down. We're giving you absolute gold mine gems tonight. Go ahead, Coach. Number 1.
So number 1 is listening, hearing. We listen through filters of life. And there's active listening, passive listening. And when we come to talking about listening, the greatest example, because I could sit here and talk to you for an hour or 2 just on listening. I'm going to just give it to you in about 30 seconds. I'm going to say this. There used to be this game that as kids we would play. We would line up 6 to 10 kids in a row.
Yep.
We'd give a little piece of paper with a statement on it to the first kid. And the kid would look at it. Then we'd take that piece of paper and turn it around and paste it on the blackboard and say, okay, tell the person next to you what was on that piece of paper. Now, this is using your memory, using what you heard, what you read, and then you repeat it. And you repeat it to the next person, and then it gets repeated to the next person, and the next person, and the next person, and the next person. Now, I did this exercise on stage, and I had 10 PhD students and professors that were standing on stage. A couple of them were students because they'd gone back to get another specialty degree.
Right.
I call them the overachievers. They already have a doctorate and they're going back for more.
Yes.
And they all put their hand up in this room and said, yep, we'll do this. We can handle this. And you could just see when they're walking up there, they have this positive attitude of, we got this handled. I memorized things, blah, 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 blah. This is going to work. And all the way from the beginning to the end, actually, there were 12. When we got to the 12th, I had them go and write on the board what the sentence was. And then I had them turn over the piece of paper and write what the piece of paper said. There was not one word, not one, not even an I or a the or an and that was the same in the statement that they wrote. It had changed and transformed that much. And all of them, it was like I had just won the prize of them listening to me for the next 2 hours.
Isn't that amazing? The intellectuals, the people that we make the assumption that they're going to have all the answers, maybe they didn't listen. Did you ever think about that?
And by the way, I'm not blaming anybody.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
but
it's just a human condition. When we listen, we hear something, our brain filters it based on our life experiences and then tells us what we heard. So if you think about that, it's like going through a filtration process. Now, one of the English words called bear, is it B-A-R-E? Is it B-E-A-R? Or is it B-E-A-R, as in bare arms, a bear, grizzly bear, or bear as in naked? So you say that one word, and however somebody hears it in the context of that sentence, whatever they're thinking about, whatever their memories are, that's what gets used for that word. Now, think about this. Somebody that's gone through trauma, Robert, they've got all this stuff, and you say the word bear, and guess what? They're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want people to have weapons, so I don't want people to bear arms, right? So now they have that context for what they're listening to. Now, we talk about all of this, and we say, wow, why is texting and emails not a good place to talk about contextual topics? In other words, share feelings or to share emotion. Do not email or text emotional stuff. It doesn't work. Why? Because of this.
Okay, let me stop you right there, Coach. To our listeners and our viewers, listen to what he just said. If you guys don't get anything else out of what's going on tonight, follow this advice. To text or email the stuff from the heart, always, 100% of the time, is out of context. So, the only option, good evening, Lachelle, appreciate that. The only option then is to speak from the heart or to talk to somebody one-on-one. But Coach, you know what I find? I find that kids, and maybe you've seen this also, they'll all be in a room, right? Everybody's got a phone. And they're sitting there texting each other over here versus having a conversation. At what point did that become okay? And how do you undo that if you're a parent right now? And we all know parents have a tough job. We know that, right? What do you do?
Well, the first thing I do is I have parents create a table. near the entryway of their house or the back door in the kitchen where it's a charging station, right? So it seconds as a charging spot. And when they come in, when the kids come in, they put all of their devices into this charging area. The parents, the same thing. And they go through greeting, getting ready for dinner. They sit down for dinner. They have dinner. They maybe have some playtime afterwards with no electronic devices. Zip, zero, nada. No TV, nothing. Maybe some music in the background.
Right.
But no electronic devices. Why? Because then they are literally being coached into spending time listening, watching, looking, being present, speaking, having body language being being in the other person's world, right? They create and manifest a whole new mindset. And it is the most powerful opportunity for parents today. It brings about, you want your kids to be close to you. You want your kids, I can tell you, they may fight it at first. In the long run, they will fall in love with it because you know what? They can see that you care about and you're interested in their life, interested in what they're learning, interested in where they're having difficulty. And that's where you share your wisdom as a parent. And yeah, you don't force your wisdom on them. Once again, you ask, can I give you some advice about that situation you're dealing with? And when you ask, you know what the magical thing is? I don't know. I mean, I'm a step parent to 4 kids. And every time I ask if I can give them advice, do you know what they say? Yes.
Yeah.
They always say yes.
Because you care. It's like a banner that says, hello, I care. Do you want to hear what I have to say?
Yeah.
And you're asking, though. You're not just demanding. And that's what I think is awesome about it, right? That's
100%.
what I think. Even though it's difficult, even though I know it's got to be so hard. Mm-hmm. Because you know what? When we were all born, my friends, none of us were given a handbook on how to be a parent. None of us. You know, nope. we do the best we can, and we try to work and do everything we can to make people, to create the best possibilities that we can come out of us as we work with our kids, you know, and maybe there's something that you're listening to tonight that you're going to be like, wow, I get it. You know, I get it. And that's why when Coach said there are seven different keys to communication, we're not just saying this just to tell you how to do something. We're simply asking your permission to give you a little bit of guidance to show you, right, what you can do to create magic in your life. So let's go to the next one.
Well, and look at this. Before we go to the next one, look what Lachelle, America's Supermom from LinkedIn.
Okay. Oh, we're on LinkedIn. Okay, great. Yep. Go ahead. You want to read Lachelle's comments?
Yep. She says, love that. So true. We need to get back to conversations with everyone. Oftentimes, the parents are modeling bad behavior. We all need to learn to be present where our feet are. She said, love this discussion. We need to take responsibility. And Lachelle, thank you so much for saying that. Because the one thing that I find as a parent, when parents call me up and say, hey, Coach Les, we've heard about you. We want you to coach our kid. The second thing out of my mouth is, I'd love to. The question that I have before we move any further, are you, the parents, willing to be coached?
Right.
And 80 to 90% of the time, Robert, this is what I hear. Well, Coach Les, I'm not asking you to coach me. And I look and go, I understand that. I'm asking you, if you want me to coach your child, are you willing to be coached? Well, why would you want to coach me? I said, 60 to 80% of what I'm going to deal with comes from who? And they're like, what, are you insinuating that it's from me? I'm like, hello. And in that moment, they realize, oh my gosh, perhaps I am responsible for the way that my kids are behaving, because they're mirroring me. So
Boy,
let's go to number.
that's deep. Because that requires somebody to take accountability, right? Accountability for your actions as a parent, accountability for your actions or your inaction, right?
Yep.
And it might be easier to say, well, I just don't want to talk about that. Thanks, Coach Les. However, here's 10 grand I'm going to send you for my kid. But as far as me being coached, I don't think I need to be involved in that. That doesn't work.
Nope.
And you and I have seen that time and time again. You have to have buy-in from all the parties around to be able to create the dynamic and the magic that we literally create. We're some of the best coaches in the world. I'll tell you that right now, and there is no question. We know what it takes to help you in all of your areas of life. However, as I tell people, it does not matter how smart you are, what your intellect is, what your career is. If you're not going to let us do what we need to do and back us up and be willing to be a participant in your own life, the $10,000 doesn't mean anything to us. You see, and I've sent those checks back just as Coach Les has, because you can't just send me a check and say, fix my problem, right? Now, in business consulting, it's a little bit different because we go in hardcore, Coach Les and I. And that's what we do. But I'll tell you what, we dig under the radar, we dig under the covers, and we find out the problems that are going on in the organization, right?
Yeah.
But as he just mentioned, the family that calls in and says, hey, take care of my kid. I can't even imagine what I would say if the dad said that I don't want to be involved. Is that just shuffling the pendulum again, where I don't want to be involved? If that's what's going on, I think that would be a hard sell as a good parent. What say you?
I think, this brings up such a great conversation, and here comes Supermom. I've got to read this because you're going to love it. Yes, it's a hard pill to swallow. The apple does not fall far from the tree. Lachelle, America's Supermom, has 10 kids under one roof, and she sees herself and her husband in their behavior every day. It starts with me, she says, if I want to see a change. And that is unbelievable. I mean, here we go again from America's Supermom.
Let's leave that up on the screen for a minute for our viewers to digest. 10 kids. So to those of you that call us on a regular basis and say, I have a really hard life, Rob. I have a really hard life, Coach Les, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I don't see any way around this. And I'm suicidal. I'll just say it the way it is. Because of my background, and I don't know what to do. And I've had a really tough life. And woe is me, I am the victim. You got a lady with 10 kids that gets it. What does she say? It starts with me if I want to see a change. Wow, how blessed. Lachelle, you are right on target. And I hope that our people that are listening to this after the broadcast, just send us an email. I'm going to give you my email. It's Robert, Robert, at WCI Live, LIVE.com. You can reach me toll free in the United States, 1-800-373-8913. And that's our corporate office. If you're outside the United States, which many of you are, just dial the U.S. prefix. We have a regular telephone number. Oh, I'll respond to that in a second. We have a toll-free number, 702-219-3624. And we're going to respond, but you have to make sure that you tell us that you saw us on this broadcast, and then we'll be able to spend time. Because, guys, I'm booked out almost, I think it's like 9 or 10 months right now. And I think Coach is booked out a tremendous amount also. But getting back to my important thing, the wonderful listener we have right now, the viewer just said, well, Rob, we have 15 kids altogether. So my challenge to my listeners and my viewers is, what are you going to do? What's your excuse, Coach?
Well, with that, I'd like to go on because I know we're going to get the opportunity here is really to spend an inordinate amount of time in step 1. And I would like to just take a quick moment to run through and do this in, 2 or 3 minutes and go through step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I do want to let people know that they can find this information and at my website, which you'll see is at leshill.info, leshill.info. That's my website, www.leshill.info. And you can go, and when you see, you'll see there's a pull drop down menu under coaching, and you'll see resources. And this PDF, I call it my 8 steps to success. It talks about vision, mission, who, what, why, where, when, how. It tells you a few things to look for if you're looking for a coach. And then it has the communications integrity 7 steps. And just to jump through and briefly hit each of the points, Robert, because I know we're getting close to the time here for the end. Step 2 is looking and seeing, active vision. And what that is a lot of times we have tunnel vision as to what we see. And the greatest example for this is when we go through a door into a store or into a mall or into an office building, and the door swings behind us, right? And it's got an automatic close. How many people actually take the time to use their peripheral vision when they open the door to see if there's somebody behind them or in front of them that they can hold the door open for? Oh, and they actually are aware. They're aware. I mean, I watch people that walk down the street that are looking at their cell phones. They're not even looking where they're going anymore. So that's looking and seeing. Being present is number 3. We've already talked a little bit about this. Cell phones of today have us not be present. When I do board meetings, when I come in and the CEOs or the president of a company or the owner of a company says, Les, I want you to sit in on one of our meetings and let me know. What do you think? What would you change? And you could just sit in, just listen. I'm not going to introduce you until the end of the meeting. And then I'll give you the stage. And, and for me, and I remember the first time that happened, it was not easy because people are all like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And you could hear them kind of whispering. There were people that I found out later that texted each other in the meeting to try and figure out who I was. And at the end of the meeting, I had people put their cell phones up on the desk, up on the meeting table. And I said, how many of you, by a show of hands, were busy texting throughout the course of this meeting? And people looked around, and I said, look, I'm going to call you out because I wrote it down and I have it on this piece of paper. Who was texting? So you can own it and let us know now, or you can have me call you out. And what happened was a whole new level of understanding how much gets interrupted in a meeting. And Gary, you know who Gary V is? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. So this is a guy that I met 30 years ago in the wine business. He was a wine writer. So I know him from there. And a wine critic. Now he's a super social media icon. And the other day I was listening to one of his videos, and he was talking about meetings. His meetings are 15 minutes long, 10 to 15 minutes max. And he schedules them in those increments. And partly he says after 15 minutes in this day and age, you lose people. Yeah. He says, if you go to these meetings, he goes, I sit in meetings all the time. And I look and I go, you guys are wasting my time. We've been here for an hour. We've covered 3 topics that could have taken you 7 minutes to tell me. And instead, we've got this yummy. You guys aren't speaking with accurate wordage. And by the way, this is the next thing on my list is speaking. So it's listening, hearing, looking, seeing, being present, and speaking. People have filler words. They jump into conversations. They stand up and they go, Well, let me, I'm George, and I'd like to introduce today, and I'd like to talk to you about this, and this and that. It's like, wait a minute, you said nothing except a name.
Right.
People are not attentive to the audience. They are not distinct. They use words like sure instead of yes or no. And Gary says all of this stuff wastes time. Body language. Number 5 on here. 85 to 95% of our communication is nonverbal. Nonverbal.
Interesting, isn't it?
And people go, well, I'm on Zoom. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you're on Zoom, and I watch people that come to Zoom, and if they were to stand up, right, they don't have black pants on. They've got shorts. Right. And it's like, wait a minute. You mean you're not professionally dressed? Well, why not? Well, because it's just the camera. No, it's a mindset. Right? So body language, doing these things, being in another, then we go to being in another person's world. This is one of the most powerful tools that you have as a coach, is to actually listen over there. Get in their world. What might be happening in the person's world? You know what? If you're having meetings and there's a person in the room whose significant other or a parent or a kid just passed away, and you're not addressing that, you're not saying something as an owner of a company. Oh, well, Les, I don't want to bring that up. Human resources, HR, blah, 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 blah. No, stop with that. You have to be responsible. Everybody in the room knows. You can tell it's the pink elephant in the room.
Right.
You may as well speak about it. If there's something there, if there was just a robbery, or there's somebody's car or their home had a fire or something happened, speak to it. Talk about it, get it out of the brains onto the table, so that then it can dissipate, and it's not then the number one thing going on in somebody's brain. Listen for what might be happening. Be aware of all the points that are on this page: listening, looking, being present, speaking, body language, mindset, all of these things. Being aware of don't assume. You know what they say about assuming? It makes a double of you and me. And then lastly, mindset and manifestation. We talk about vision boards. We talk about prayer, meditation, visualization, manifestation. There are some what I call hardline Christians that are like, oh, vision, that's like Antichrist. No, it's not. It's in the Bible. There's stuff like that in the religious works out there. And when you have these things, vision boards are a part of what create an opportunity for your mind to be responsible for the possibilities. And your mind, even though you may not see them every day, you may walk in and not pay attention and look at it and think about it and bring it to the front of your mind. The back of your mind sees it. It sees it all. So those are the 7 steps. Once again, listening, hearing, looking, seeing, being present, speaking, body language, being in another person's world, and mindset manifestation. Those are the 7. With that, back to you, Robert.
Coach, for some reason, I don't feel complete right now. And I think we're at episode 52 of this year that we've done worldwide. What I'd like to do is, because I am not complete, and I have so many questions, and I have a phone where I probably have 40 texts right now of questions that people are questioning. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you to come back and have a part 2 of this, so we can really drill down on the people that are listening right now. And maybe in a week or two, we can get back and maybe dig into some of those zones. And what I'd like to invite you also to do is, to those listeners or anywhere around the world, we're going to go over on Clubhouse where we're at right now. Once we cut the broadcast, we're going to go over there for about 30 minutes to answer all the questions, because we haven't even had a chance to take questions from our audience yet. And that was something we thought we'd do, but we owe that to our people who have been sitting here listening to us, because they have questions, and it's our job to make sure that they're complete. So, as I did before, I'm just gonna play something, because that's how we make our money sometimes, buddy. I'm gonna play this, and then I'll have some parting words. And I if you guys enjoy this, you have Coach Les's information. We'll put it up on the screen right now. You have my information. Contact us. Let us know what you want. If you're on Clubhouse, follow Coach Les, follow myself. There's an entire explainer sheet that we can send to you. And there's also, if you send an email, we're actually giving away one of our books. I've written, I don't know, close to 15 books. I'm going to give you guys a chance to get one as long as you send an email. My email is robert@WCI Live. So we'll go ahead and do the close out, and then I'll be right back. Stand by.
You've been listening to the world famous Change Your Mind, Change Your Life podcast. We hope we've helped you get on the road to do both. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook, Clubhouse, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasting, Google Podcasting, and Instagram at Rob_Paisola. Reach out to us by phone at 1-800-373-8913 and send your questions or comments to VIP@westerncapitalmedia.com. Until next time, this has been the world famous Change Your Mind, Change Your Life podcast.
And with that, all we can say is thank you, Coach Les. This has been an absolute enjoyable time for us, for our listeners. And I'm excited to see what happens and the response that we get. I know that I'm being overloaded right now, and I think we're going to go ahead and we're here for you, my friends. We're here. We don't read minds, though. Keep that in mind. We don't read minds. You have to come to us and talk to us and show up wherever it happens to be, so that we can be there for you. Coach Les, any final words, my friend?
Yeah, a couple things. I just want to make sure we're going to go to the Ziegler Legacy Club on Clubhouse, where it's podcast videocast with Robert Paisola under the Ziegler Legacy Club, and that's ZIGLAR. So if you're listening to this, and I want to take a moment to, Lachelle had put a couple more things on. She had said, I think many parents have too much pride. I had to learn the hard way that it's okay to admit what you don't know, and it's awesome to ask for help. I mean, that's the greatest thing on the planet, to realize, look, we don't have all the answers. And in community, we do. And then she says, write the vision and make it plain. She loves that. Without vision, people perish. So I just want to say, a huge thank you to her. And, Lachelle, thank you for really participating in today. And
one last thing, Coach. What is the email or the website where you're at? And I'll go ahead and give mine also, just so people have it.
Yeah, well, let me go ahead, and why don't you give yours? Because I'm gonna type it too, Robert, and then I can put it on the banner so that it's on.
Sure,
here.
No problem, guys. You can go to Robert ROBERT Paisola PAI. I think it's spelled behind me, PAISOLA.com, and that'll lead you through all of our videos. If you go, just type in, we did a big thing for NBC a few weeks ago. We've done stuff all over the place. We did some stuff in Nigeria, over in Asia, Europe this morning. So we are making a difference, and we invite you to walk the path with us as we work with some of the best people in the world. And I tell you that there are no accidents. You're here because you deserve to learn and deserve to walk with us as we can walk with you to be able to assist you in anything you're trying to accomplish in your life. And that's what makes us go. So I say thank you to our people that are listening, and especially to our sponsors. And to Mercedes-Benz, I can't thank you enough for understanding that we really are having a huge worldwide influence. And we appreciate everybody who's listening. And thank you so much. And for those of you that are live in the United States right now, come over to Clubhouse. And as Coach Les said, you can go ahead and we'll spend a little bit of time over there answering some of your questions. And then we'll go ahead and set this up for part two. So that you can have some additional questions. So if you have more questions, email them over to us. We'll go ahead and get them to Coach Les. And that's the magic of what we do. It's instantaneous. It's all over the place, and nothing's off limits. So I appreciate you. And thank you, Coach Les. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Well, we are. So I'm going to go ahead and close down StreamYard. Okay. Robert, and we'll see you over at the Ziegler Legacy podcast. You'll be able to see it in your hallway, Robert, because I invited you in.
Okay.
And Glenda, who is over in the 24-hour Bible study podcast, where we're also streaming live with Coach Les. Glenda, if you want to join us, I did put the billboard up at the top above me where you can just click right into that and you'll go straight into the Ziegler Legacy Club, and hopefully we'll see you there. So I am going to do a little close down stuff, Robert, and we'll see you over there.
Sounds good. God bless you, my friends. To our friends around the world, we're always going to be here. Whatever you need, let us know. God bless, my friends.
Take care.
You bet.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
We've increased our sales by about 33%, of blowing all of our goals out of the water.
In my first 6 months, I actually grew my business with his help over 500%. Literally 500%.
Les Hill is the type of person that invests back in you and back into your company. So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.